Yodel peeps, what is going on? It is like 7:30 in the morning. I've woken up in one of those really good moods where I just wanted to do something a bit different. I wanted to make a little bit of a video, like literally as soon as I woke up. So I sat down with a pen and paper and I thought I'd write out my five most favorite games that I've ever played. I'm not trying to be like hip and retro with some of the games I've got in here. You gotta remember, I was born in '88, so I was playing computer games from 3 years old. Like I remember having the old Game Boy, not like a Game Boy Color or anything. It was like this grey thing with almost a purple screen, and you click it on, and when it turned on, there'd be like a black smear across the screen, and then it would slide up saying Nintendo. And I had that up until few years back where I moved house and I lost the fucking thing, and it was like, oh no, because I lost my Pokemon Yellow, my Pokemon Gold, my Pokemon Red, my Pokemon Blue, like all stuff that I'd had for like years and years and years. But so I thought, I'm just gonna make a video today and sort of add in some pictures and see what I can do and see what I can get away with. So yeah, my fifth favorite game. It's fairly modern, and the one reason that I love it is because my step not my stepbrother, my brother-in-law, and we used to play it together, and it was like the game that sort of made us closer friends and stuff. So it'll always be like a good game to me, and it's DC Universe Online. Now, it was released in 2011 in January specifically, and yeah, I used to love that game. I played it for hours and hours and hours. My favourite setup was to play as the healer, like the electric healer. I bought the download pack to be electricity, and I would use the bow, and I loved it. It was such a good setup. I could do bosses, I could still do damage. The more damage I did, the more power I had, the more I could heal. It was just such a good setup for a game. Like the way it worked, it was so smooth and nice. And if you haven't played it, I don't know if it's still good anymore, but if you haven't played it, I'd recommend giving it a try and whatnot, because I know it's still around. I know there's been a lot of updates, new characters and whatnot, so there's something for possibly everyone on there. And my number four, this game is very old. Like it was, well, it's going to be 20 this year. It's Tekken 2 on the PlayStation, not PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 or PlayStation Vita or any of that stuff. The PlayStation, which was like a big square grey thing with a lid that popped up, and you put the disc in and then you popped it down again, and there was like a little button in the back that if you held it down whilst the lid was open, the game would still spin around and it was turned on. And yeah, like many moons ago, I remember opening that on Christmas in like '97, I think, was when I got my PlayStation. I was like, oh, it was years ago, but yeah, I remember getting it, and I had two games with it. The other game I didn't like so much. It was called Vigilante 8. I loved it, but not as much as Tekken. Like, it was like you beat 'em up, button basher, hyperactive thumb shit going on where you were pressing as much shit as you could at once, and it was so cool. Like, I loved it. I really did. It was like the best game ever for someone that's like 8, 9 years old. It was fucking awesome. Like, I used to love to play as Eddie, but I had to learn to control the buttons as Eddie because I found out he did some really cool attacks that looked like break dancing and whatnot. So yeah, and then there was another guy called Huarong or Huarong or some shit. I can't pronounce his name, but he was like ginger. I'm ginger. I loved him. I hated being ginger, so it made it a little bit better. The fact that he was so good with his taekwondo, it just made it so cool. And then of course there was Yoshimitsu, which was the robot with almost like a fucking lightsaber thing going on. So that was pretty fucking awesome. And number three is not so much a forward in your face game, but it was Command and Conquer Red Alert on the PlayStation again. That thing, me and my old best friend Will, we used to play it all the time. We both had a PlayStation. We both had this game. We both had link-up cables. We'd work together. We'd build bases, and we'd attack the enemy together. It's like simultaneously. So it was we'd sort of split them and cut them off. Like, I'd go in and attack one, and he'd sort of defend my attack from the enemy team coming in and reinforcing their team, and then we'd wipe them out that way. It was really fucking cool. I was always playing as Russia. I always had the Telsa coils. I loved the tanks. I think that there was one called like a monolith or fucking mammoth. The mammoth tank. That was it. It was called a mammoth tank. That was what I used to fucking. I'd love that. We'd play that. He'd use many people and many tanks, and I'd use many people and many tanks, and it was just an all-round good game. Like, it just brought out the strategic part of my mind, where I had to learn everything about games, like, to be the best and how to get the best out of my characters. And my number 2, which isn't surprising to see on anybody's list, it's a Pokemon, but mine in specific was Red and Blue. They were the first ones I got, which they were released in February of 1996, and I used to have one of the old Game Boys, like I said, the grey one with the almost purple screen and the little red light, and it took batteries and stuff. Like, I went through so many fucking batteries on this game, to the point where I actually got brought an old rechargeable battery pack, which, no one had back then. I used to play it so much, it was costing so much in batteries that, my mum decided to get me the rechargeable one as a birthday present, like, so many years ago. And I used to have the cards. We used to trade them at school. Like, me and my friends would be like, yeah, I've got this, do you want to trade for this and this and this? And it was fucking cool. It was like, I remember when it first got released and it all kicked off and it became a thing. Like, I am that old that I remember Pokemon becoming fashionable in England, which is kind of sad, but I've still got Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, 2 DS's in the bedroom, where me and my fiance play it together. Not often, but we do still play it every now and then, because we're both stuck on it and it's kind of pissed us off, and now we don't play it so much. Now, for my number 1 favourite game, it's a PlayStation 2 game. There's many of them. There's another one being released this year on Xbox One, so I'm probably going to get it. Probably, not 100%, but probably. It's Final Fantasy X, not 10-2 or 9. I did play 7, I have to admit, I did play and complete number 7, but Final Fantasy X, it was released in July of 2001. It feels like such a long time ago it was released. But again, my friend, who, he showed me 7, and I completed 7, and then when 10 come out, he was like, look, there's a new one. I got it. I've still got a PlayStation 2 in my cupboard, and only one game, and this is the game that I've got. All of them had main characters. This one, he was called Tyrus. No, he wasn't. He was called Tidus, a D, and like, when it came out, I got the walkthrough guide, so as I could get all the hidden weapons and find out the best way to beat the bosses and which elements would be the best. And like I said, when I get into a game, I need to be the best at everything. I need to know everything that works best against what. Like, just so much love for Final Fantasy. Like, me and my friend Ryan, when we were in our teens and getting stoned all the time, we used to play it together when all of our other friends weren't round, and we completed it in about 77 hours, and I thought that was a pretty good time, because it wasn't like a speed run. We still leveled up our characters to a good level where we wouldn't struggle with bosses, and it was so much fun. I've loved computer games all my life. The first one I had was Mario on the old Game Boy, and I had Tetris, and what was it? I had a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. Like, randomly got given a big box of computer stuff. I had an Atari, a Sega Mega Drive, a Nintendo, and this was all when I was like 3, 4, 5 years old. I can't remember exactly, but I've always, as far as I can remember back, been playing computer games, so it only fits that now I'm sort of trying to make videos on computer games. I've told my mum about it recently because we're not close, but I told her that I've been doing this, and she just said, wow, isn't that just your dream job, like a lifelong dream job of playing computer games, making videos, helping people, having fun. And that's what I want all of you guys out there. If you're playing computer games today, I want you to have fun, enjoy the rest of it, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one.